Cab, Jed here from Thailand, Myland. I've been looking back through my catalogue of videos and I've decided to put a few relevant ones on here again for anyone who might have missed them the first time around. This one is, can you live well on your state pension in Thailand? And I hope that you enjoy the video and it will be useful to you if you're thinking of coming here to live.
Jed here from Thailand, Myland. I'm in Chinet, which is about 6-hour drive from Hua Hin, maybe 3 hours from Bangkok. Beautiful area, very rural, and staying in this nice hotel, and it's surrounded by rice fields, so it is very, very nice and calm, and somewhere to come and just relax for a few days to get out of the big city. Today's New Year's Eve, and I'm sure tomorrow morning you guys are going to wake up with a hangover, and perhaps some of you are going to think about making a New Year's resolution. I know I tried to do that every year. Never works. I normally break it before the end of January, but I do try. But a few of you might be thinking of losing some weight, or maybe cutting down on your drinking, perhaps changing your job. But some of you might be thinking, oh, I'm going to change countries. I want to go and live in another country. I'm sick of my country. I can't afford to live there. It's too expensive, blah, blah, blah. Many reasons for wanting to come and relocate to another country. Now, when I was writing my book, the Retire in Thailand Handbook, the first 6 months, I had to interview a lot of expats who had moved here to get their opinion and tell me why they moved here, what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it. Some weren't so happy, some were planning on going back, but most of them were very happy living here and were happy with how their lives had changed since they moved here. So today I want to go through with you, if you're thinking of coming here, if you're planning on coming to Thailand to live, just go through it with you, some of the experiences that I heard from other people who had made the same move. I suppose the biggest factor for most people moving to a country like Thailand is the cost of living, being cheaper to live here than their own country. And if you're on a pension, then obviously your pension's probably going to stretch a lot further here than it would do in your own country. But Thailand is not as cheap as it used to be now. It's just come through COVID like the rest of the world, and it's in a recession at the moment. It's going through some tough times because it heavily relied on tourism, and tourism stopped for close to 3 years, and it's just coming back now. Now is the high season, and it's getting quite expensive now, because I went online the other day looking at hotels in Koh Samui to stay, and the prices were astronomical. Everything's gone up a lot, but you can still live here fairly cheaply for day-to-day living. If you're not interested in traveling around Thailand and going to places like Koh Samui or Phuket every second month, then you can probably live a decent life on a fairly good pension. So if you're coming here on a pension and that's all you have is the pension from your country, then you're going to find it a little bit harder now to live here on that pension. Still not impossible to live on just a normal pension. What I do, I try and live on my pension. I try to live on about 55,000 baht a month, and I'll put that up in pounds, US dollars and Australian dollars to give you an idea how much 55,000 baht. That's what I live on a week-to-week basis, 55,000 baht a month, and I live quite well. I eat well, I stay in nice places. If I was getting a condo, I could afford to rent a decent condo for about 15,000 baht a month. I can go out and have a few drinks when I want to, but it doesn't cover everything. It doesn't cover, obviously, if you need to fly back to your own country, for instance. You know, that's not going to cover it. My pension's not going to cover that. I'm going to have to use my investments to do that. It doesn't cover if I want to go and spend a week in Koh Samui. that has to come out of my investments or from my bank account in Australia. It doesn't count lots of things. If I want to go to the hospital, if I need to go to a dentist, if I have to buy something, a big item, if my motorbike broke down and I couldn't use it anymore, I'd have to buy a new motorbike. Well, that's not going to come out of my pension. That's going to have to come out of my investments or money I have saved back in Australia. So yes, you can come here and you can live on just a smallish pension, but it's not going to be a great life for you. You're going to live in a small room type of accommodation, maybe paying 3,000 or 4,000 baht a month, and you're going to eat from markets and pot noodles and 7-Eleven. You're probably not going to be able to afford to go out to nice restaurants, or any restaurants for that matter, if you're just going to live on your pension and have to save other money up from that pension in case you need to go to a hospital, or if you need to buy something bigger, or you need to go back to your own country for some reason. So yeah, Thailand is still very cheap. It's still a great place to live, but you're not going to find a great lifestyle if you're just going to come here and live on a normal Western pension. Some people come here and they've managed to look after their investments and their lives for the last 50 years, and they're coming away and retiring with a nice nest egg, and they're going to have a great life here. Yeah, because they've got plenty of money and it's going to stretch a long way, and they don't have to worry from a week-to-week basis. If there's something goes wrong, they can dig into their substantial investments and do whatever they want, buy whatever they want. So yeah, keep that in mind. If you're coming here and you're just going to be on your pension, an Australian pension, US pension, whatever, and it's just the normal everyday pension, and it's not subsidised by your superannuation or your private pensions or house you've sold, and you're just really coming here and living on the basics, then it might be not a good move for you, unless you really understand that that's all you'll be doing, is more or less living from day to day, from hand to mouth, on that pension. Another thing that a lot of people come here for are relationships. You know, their marriage is broken up, like what happened with mine. Or perhaps you've been widowed, or perhaps you've never been married, and they see on places like this YouTube channel and on the news and all newspapers and everywhere you look about living in Thailand, how beautiful the ladies are, and how easy it is to get a relationship. Well, it is. You can come here and you can be 70 years of age, 80 years of age, and you can end up with a beautiful lady, maybe who's 20 if you want. Not that I'd advise it, but you can if you want. But you're going to pay for that. That's not something where she's fell in love with you. And that's another thing. A lot of people, they come to Thailand, okay, and they go to a bar and they talk to this beautiful bar lady, and he immediately thinks that she's fell head over heels in love with him, because next time he goes there, she rushes over, kisses him on the cheek, says she misses him, and he thinks, wow, you know, this lady is in love with me. She's not. She's in love with your wallet. It might end up better in years to come, as if you stayed together. It might be that she does fall in love with you, but the chances are not good, from what I've spoke to those people when writing my book, who sort of married a bar girl. Not all, but most of them, it ended in tears, going with a bar girl and going into a long-term relationship, or even getting married, because you are a customer. When you go to that bar, you are buying their service. They're not falling in love with you. As I say, maybe later they might, but that's very doubtful too. It's mainly they have family back in their province or their village, and they need money to send to their families, so that's why they work in bars. And the girls, I'm not knocking those girls at all, they're very, very good-hearted people. You know, they're sacrificing their lives and working in bars to send money back to their parents and their children who the parents are looking after, because a lot of Thai marriages end in tears. Once the lady has a couple of babies, the man tends to disappear quite often. He doesn't want to be tied down with children and a wife who's getting older and so many children, so he just legs it and goes and finds himself a girlfriend, and the lady is stuck without any money and any support, so she goes to Pattaya or Phuket or Samui or Hua Hin and goes and works in a bar or in a massage parlour. Yeah, so if that's the case, then I'd be very wary of coming here and falling in love with a bar girl. Likewise on dating websites, they're very deceiving too, because the majority of them, are looking for a good boyfriend, but they're also looking for someone to look after them for the rest of their life. They don't have a house and a car and, you know, everything's hunky-dory, and they're just looking for someone to spend the rest of their lives with. Most of them are poor and they're looking for someone to make sure they have a good life and their families have a good life. And a lot of the people on those websites also are freelance. They might be bar girls, but on the website, so you do have to be very careful if you're even going on a website. But having said that, they're beautiful ladies, and if you can find a good one on a website, that's the way to go. And if you can make sure that she's not going to take you for too much money, then that's a bonus as well. So I suppose that's the second main concern here, would be relationships, when people come here and go into a relationship. I suppose the third reason for people wanting to move to Thailand, when I was doing the research for my book, first reason being financial reasons, coming here so their money will stretch a lot further than it does in their own country. The second being trying to get into a relationship and trying to be happy again with a beautiful lady. The third thing that I found was most people wanting to come here was for the weather, and once again it suited some people, but not all. The majority of people come here and they love the weather, and why wouldn't you? Look at this. And this is for, you know, most of the year. You do get a wet season, but I like that too. There's nothing wrong with a bit of rain, and it's not your miserable rain like you do get in the UK. The sun not coming up till 8 o'clock in the morning and then you go outside and there's this horrible rain. Not like that. You just get torrential rain, and it's tropical and it's still hot, and everything's green and everything's beautiful because of they're getting so much rain. Everything sort of comes back to life again. So there's good things about the wet season, and without a wet season, well, you'd have nothing to drink. There'd be no water. So it's part of life here. But having said that, there are some people who've come here because of the weather. They've come here for a couple of weeks holiday over the years, maybe many times. They've come here for holidays and they think, one day I'm going to go back there, I'm going to live, because I love the weather, I love the climate. But when you come here and it's like this for 52 weeks of the year, and really there's no relief from it unless you stay in your house with air conditioning or you go to an air conditioned shopping centre, then there's no real relief from it. And if you're from a cold country like the UK or some areas of the US or Canada, sometimes you can't adapt. You miss the colder weather, or your body just says, no, this is not me. I was born in Canada and I love the Canadian weather. I don't like this. Take me back home. So sometimes the weather can be a problem here. Not for me. I've lived in hot countries since I left the UK in 1969, looking for somewhere hot to live, and ended up in Bermuda working. So I've always loved the hot weather, and after Bermuda I've always lived in hot countries, and I would never change that. I love the heat, and I think it's kept me young in a way, because I go out a lot and I exercise by walking on beaches, and the sun, I know you can get skin cancer and all that, but I never worried about that, and I've always just gone out and enjoyed the sunshine. I've gone to the beach, I've gone swimming, and luckily enough I've never been struck down with anything like skin cancer. I think my skin is so used to the hot weather that it's immune to it now. So yeah, if you're gonna come here, keep that in mind, that the weather can play a big factor. You're not on holidays, you're here, you're living here 52 weeks of the year, and unless you've got a lot of money, if you're like one of those retirees I was telling you before, who've, you know, sort of have a big amount of money to spare, and you can't take it with you, so they might as well spend it while they're here, then maybe for someone like that it's okay, because you can think, oh, I'll just fly back to Canada for a few weeks, you know, it's too hot here. But if you've got only a small pension, that's not an option for you. You probably can't just hop on a plane and go and find some cooler weather. So keep that in mind. That's another thing you need to think of. Don't be thinking that when you were on holiday here that it was fantastic and you're gonna be the same. You might not be. You might be like me and think, no, this is great. And I suppose the fourth thing I found out when I was writing my book was the people who came here and missed their family, friends, and their way of life back in their old country. And that is a massive thing, because you think sometimes that that's not going to happen. You think, I'm okay, my children have all grown up, they don't need me in their lives, I'm going to get on with my life. But when you actually get here, sometimes you change your mind. You miss them. You might not miss your kids so much even, because they've actually have grown up, and you know, you spent a lot of years with them. But you might miss your grandkids because you're not watching them grow up. You're only seeing photos of them or talking to them online or whatever. When that's a good thing nowadays. I remember when I first went to Australia, that was back in 1974, and oh, it was very expensive to make a phone call to my parents back in the UK, and very hard. You know, it wasn't easy. Sometimes you had to book a call back in 1974. You couldn't just get on the phone and dial and get through to them. Plus my parents didn't even have a phone. I had to arrange for them to go to someone's house so that I could talk to them. So times have changed. Now you've got internet, you've got free phone calls on apps like Line, and don't even cost you anything, and you've got video calls at the same time as you're talking to them. You can see them. So things have changed, but a lot of people still miss their families. They come here and they can't settle because they can't see them whenever they want. As I say, the rich people, yes, they can fly back to their country and see their children and their grandchildren whenever they want, because they have the funds to do that. But if you're coming here on a small pension, then you know, you could be sat in your small place eating your pot noodles and thinking, I miss my family. And you do have to think about that. Don't be coming here thinking that everything's hunky-dory. It's not always. There's a lot of bad things as well as good in moving to another country. Also, it's not just your family, it's friends. You come to Thailand, you're going to have to make a whole lot of new friends. You've got to start again making friends, and that can be hard, because a lot of the expats here have a different lifestyle to you. You know, a lot of them perhaps like to drink, and if you like to go and have a drink, then that's fine. You'll maybe make a lot of friends. But if you don't, if you just want to go and visit temples and go to parks and go to the beach, you'll find it hard maybe to find expats who like to do that. A lot of people also don't take the advantage of making Thai friends, and I think it's important that if you're going to come to a country and embrace a country and live in that country, you do have to think about making friends with the locals. I've lived in 10 countries and I've always made friends with the local people. I go out my way to do that because it helps me. I get to know about the country, and I get to know the best places to shop because the locals shop there. I get invited to parties of Thai people and their houses, and I feel as if I've assimilated in the country. I haven't just come here to use what good things about the country and just use the beaches and go to the pubs and the bars and go out for dinners. I've actually meeting the people and getting to know about their country. So another thing that when I was writing the book, that a lot of people said that that when they first arrived was a little bit disconcerting for them, and that was the culture shock. I think most people who are thinking of coming to live here would have already visited, been here for holidays, extended holidays, or maybe been here many times, so they know about some of the culture, or maybe most of the culture, or even all of the culture. But a lot of people don't. They come here for holidays and they just go where the tourists go, and they don't understand that there's a big culture difference. Obviously Thailand's 95% Buddhist, and if you're a Christian, then you might not feel as if you fit in very well. But having said that, I've never seen any Buddhist person yet who has discriminated against anyone who's from another religion. They live hand in hand with people from all over the world, people who come here from Western countries, other Asian countries, from South American countries, from all over. People come here and they live here for the rest of their lives, and they're accepted and not looked down on because of where they came from. But having said that, there still is a big cultural difference between living in your own country in the West and coming here. To start with the government, I mean, you're used to a Western style type of government. Thailand has had 7 coups in I think in 40 odd years, so it's not as stable as many countries. They now have a normal government. Having said that, they don't. The Prime Minister is still the person who led the coup. He was a major, I think, at the time. A few years ago he resigned from the army and because he was Prime Minister. But I think for all intents and purposes the army is still involved a lot in the politics of Thailand. I think not a lot is done here without the army knowing about it first. So that's another big thing, is the politics that you have to endure here. They have a king also, and never ever disrespect the king. That's definitely a no-no. Never ever joke or say anything bad about the king, otherwise you could end up in prison for a long time. It's not like being back in the UK where you can more or less say anything you want about the royal family. You can rubbish them if you don't like them. You can make jokes about them, but if you try that here, you'll be in a lot of trouble. So, big difference in culture. Lots of other ways as well. I mean, obviously Buddhist temples. If you're going to go and visit a Buddhist temple, you're going to have to know the etiquette to go in there, and what to do and what not to do, and what to wear and what not to wear, and make sure you take your shoes off. And same as when you enter a house, small things like that. If you go in someone's house, a Thai person's house, you have to take your shoes off. And outside many shops as well, you see people taking their shoes off. Smaller shops and offices, there's quite often a sign on the door saying please take your shoes off. It's a sign of respect. And there's many things like that in Thailand that you do have to learn. But with Google, you can Google search customs in Thailand and learn all of them before you come here, and make sure that you know the etiquette rules for living here. So that's just some of the things that when I wrote my book, people told me that what they found is a little bit of a shock when they got here, and how they had to acclimatise and how they had to change their way of living. You can't expect the Thai people to change to live by your ways. You have to change to their ways because it's their country. And if you're willing to do that, if you've come here with enough money, if you're looking for a relationship and you check it all out first, so that you're not getting yourself into any big problems later down the track, which could cost you financially and also break your heart. If you do all them things, you can have a great life here, because it is a fantastic country. That's why I'm living here. I've got a choice of a few countries I could live in, but this is the country for me, and I'm very happy to live here. So thanks very much for watching, and tonight's New Year and I'm going out for celebration, so I'll see you next year in 2023. Happy New Year.
If you haven't already done so, please push the subscribe button. If you're thinking of retiring or living in Thailand, please take a look at my book, The Retire in Thailand Handbook, the first 6 months. You'll find it on Amazon. It's crammed full of information to help you tiptoe over the logistics of making Thailand your home in retirement. Thanks a lot for watching my channel. So until next time, stay safe, keep smiling, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers for now.